Welcome back to Vic's Projects, everyone. I hope you're well. Now, like most classic car owners, I drive around with one of these in the car. However, I'm worried I might actually have to use it. Now I know what you're thinking, Vic, stop being a drama queen, I'm sure it's fine. Well, every time I start the car, all I can smell from the front end on top of the engine is fuel. Clearly, I don't want this thing catching fire. I'm pretty sure underneath all of this lot here, there's a load of rubber hoses which connect all the various bits of the fuel system together, which have either perished or about to go or are just 50 years old and need replacing. So, let's get everything off the top and see what condition it's all in. Now looking in here, there's nothing super obvious. There's no smoking gun of where the fuel leak could be coming from. Maybe, I think around here we've got a cracked pipe. I think this is a cold start injector. So it might be just that bit there where it's cracked is leaking. So the crack seems only surface deep. But anyway, all these pipes, they're pretty old now. So we're gonna have to replace them anyway. I would like to know exactly where it's coming from, just so that I can be 100% sure that we fixed it. So maybe I might turn on the fuel pump, turn on the ignition, turn on the fuel pump to prime it all, and that might tell us. That one looks wet right there. Is there anything else? No. Oh, that one. Yeah. So. Oh yeah, fuel. Yeah, fuel. Ah, well there we go. So, as we suspected, we found a couple of leaks, and now the inevitable, we've got to pull all this fuel system out, get it on the bench so that we can sort it out. And it's a damn good job some idiot decided to pressurize the system with fuel right before we started to do that. Oh yeah. Now that wasn't so bad. I've got all the fuel rails and bits and pieces over here, and in this box I've got all the injectors. The trickiest bit of getting all of these out was probably these injectors. Most of them came out absolutely fine. A couple of them needed a few little taps here and there just to get it to wobble loose so they could come up. Now, because old cars, the engine bay is going to be grotty, grimy, no matter what, you're going to have, let's have a look here, one of these injectors has just got loads of dirt and detritus sitting all around it. Now you don't want all of that falling down into your engine, down onto those valves. So I used some brake cleaner on this just to try and squirt it all out and just get things to move. Once the injectors came out, I got really careful. I used a vacuum cleaner, I got a screwdriver and just tried to clean up as much of that dirt and detritus as I could before I come back to reinstall these and start knocking all of that down into the holes. So, what are we going to do? Let's talk through this fuel system. So it's pretty simple really. We've got fuel that comes in here from the tank into these two fuel rails, which are connected by this pipe here. We've got a little T-piece that comes off that feeds the cold start injector. So that, when you first start your engine, dumps a load of fuel, which then goes in through that one and down into the main throttle body to keep everything rich. We've then got missing from here in the engine bay, there is a fuel pressure regulator. I think this one's a dampener, and then that goes back to the tank, your return. So to start the job, let's work on these hoses. Now, I've numbered each one of these. It should be fairly obvious where each one goes, but at least with a number, a photo, I can then get some new hoses, cut things to length, and I know I've got exactly the right bit. Better safe than sorry. So I'm going to go off, order up all those hoses. I'm also going to order up a kit to give these injectors a refurb, and generally just give all of this a smarten up. With the fuel rail and hoses done, it's time to move on to our injectors. Now, if you remember, this was the cause of our leaks. This little bit of rubber at the top is not faring very well. It's all cracked at the top. I'm pretty sure it's because we now have ethanol in our fuels, and these rubbers were not designed to cope with that ethanol. So the ethanol just eats them away. So I'm going to have a go at refurbishing these myself. Now, you can buy new ones of these, but they are horrendously expensive, about £250 each, and we need 8 of them, so that's certainly not an option. But these are pretty simple devices and should be fairly easy to refurb ourselves. So, first thing I'm going to do is start stripping this down so that we can clean off all this rust, get a bit of paint on there so it's all nice and clean and tidy when we start taking it apart. With the injectors cleaned up with the lick of paint, it's time to get these rubber hoses off. And not quite as easy as you might think, because we've got this metal ferrule here. And the only real way to get that off, one of these. Now we're at the critical point here. So that we don't damage any of this injector, we're going to use these snips just to get that last bit of ferrule released. Oh, there it goes. And then with that, ow, ow, sharp. There we go. Now with all of those removed, it's time to get out this little tiny screen which lives in here. So this is a little filter basket, I think they're called. Now the best way to do that is, I've got a screw sitting in there. I'm going to, fingers crossed, screw that on there. It will bite into the brass of that filter basket, and then hopefully, perfect. There we go. Now to get the new filter basket in, I'm just going to put that down there, give it a little tap. Perfect. Now the last tricky bit is to get this pintle cap on, which protects that little nozzle right there. So in the kit they give you a spare little seal right there that's super glued, that I've now super glued onto one of these clamps. I've drilled a little hole in the yellow pad. Don't know if you can see that there. That's so that that little pintle has somewhere to go and is nicely protected. So we simply just get that on there, put it in the clamp, and then just clamp her up. Dink, dink. All done. So if you thought our next job was to put these little hoses on there and slap it in the car, you'd be wrong. Because whilst these guys are out, I want to give them a quick flush through and check, make sure that the spray pattern is good. Now, how do we do that out on the bench? Well, we're going to need something to catch all of that. Beer bottle does nicely. We're going to need something to spray fluid into here, or at least put it under pressure. And I got this off eBay for like 5-10 quid, something super cheap. And then we're going to need to put some electricity into here to get that to open and the fluid to flush through. Now, there's a couple of ways to do that. And the key thing to bear in mind is these injectors, they work on 3 volts. Of course they do, not 12 volts. They want 3 volts because silly old cars. Now, some folks have used a little 9-volt battery like this, and when they actually put the power onto there, because these draw quite a lot of current, the voltage on these collapses to about 3 volts. Now, it's kind of good. It will probably work. Well, people have used it. It has worked. However, these injectors, or any injectors, are designed to be pulsed, not held open continuously. So, not good enough for me. So I decided to get myself a little injector tester. And again, this was like nothing on eBay. It's like 10-15 quid or something. However, of course, this works on injectors and works on 12 volts because, you know, everything sensible works on 12 volts. So I've tested it on the bench supply. I can get this to run down at about 6 volts. So I now need to half that. So I need something to take half the load of this. So running the maths, this guy is about 2.4 ohms. So I'm going to need a load resistor to take the rest of that energy at about 2.4 ohms. Now, where am I going to find one of those? Perfect. Okay, 6 volts in, your display is on, then we've got the resistors connected in series, and then we've got the voltmeter across U to check that you're the right volts. Perfect. So let's set you to pulse and go. I was expecting to hear that. No, no voltage. Ah. So as you saw, my plan fell flat on its face. Oh well. What I think was happening was that injector tester, I had enough volts in it to turn on the screen, but not enough to actually switch the gate drives on the FETs, which would then send the voltage through to these guys. Now, I could have actually run it at 12 volts, found some new load resistors to make sure that these would only see 3 volts, but ain't no one got time for that. So I just set the bench supply to 3 volts and tappity tap, made sure I didn't open these for too long, and that worked just fine. So you've got a few options if you pick up this job. Now onto the fun bit, getting these ready to go back in the car. Now, a couple of super easy little jobs. We've got to get this pipe on the top here. And you might be asking yourself, Vic, what you took off there had a ferrule on the bottom. You've got 2 clamps on this one. I've seen kits with clamps, I've seen kits with ferrules. Which one should I get? Well, that's a really good question because there are different types of this injector. So some of them here have got the bayonet just one, and some of them have 2. Now, if you've only got 1 bayonet, then you need a clamp. If you've got 2, then you need the ferrule. So check that out, which injector you have. This is, I think it's one of the most early injectors that they did, and this has got 1. So I don't know about the rest. You'll have to just take yours off and check it out. So that's that one on there, super easy peasy. The next one is we've got the ring here, which this thing here clamps down on and holds the injector down. In the kit, the rubber that comes with it is actually slightly larger. So it actually fits perfectly in that groove, and you don't need that little, what are they called? C-clips, I think. So you don't need one of those. You can just put that guy straight on. The final piece of the puzzle is the sealing gasket that goes down in on the air intake. Now the original ones are these, Now the original ones are these top hat style seals, and obviously they don't make them anymore, and they don't need to be either. So the ones in the kit, they are identical to the outer diameter, as you can see there. And then the injector just sits in there like that. So over we go to the car to see what happens about these guys. Vic, you've dragged this out long enough. Just replace the seal, put the bloody injectors in and drive the car already, because I'm getting annoyed. I know, I hear you. But it's not quite that simple, because these little seals here go right into the intake, and pretty much, I would imagine, they're sitting pretty much on the back of the valves to get that fuel to go straight in. And unless you're lucky enough to have the previous owner have gone in every single weekend and cleaned the engine bay thoroughly, you're going to have detritus and rubbish just all over where those seals are sitting on top of the engine. So as soon as you disturb them, you're going to put all that crap straight in where you don't want it, right down into the valves and getting into the chamber. So what I've done, or what I found to work quite well, is put a bolt down to actually block the hole out. Then you can get in with your screwdriver and your little pick and little toothbrush, whatever you've got, to scrub it all out. Then get the vacuum cleaner in there, really get in there, get everything out you can. And then she's pretty much all clean, and you can actually pull that seal out. It's a bucket to get out, but you can get it out. And then finally, you can put those injectors in. So she's all back together. Now, we took her apart in January. We did all of the front suspension. We had a little side quest on the exhaust. What a lot of fun that was. And then we've just seen a revamp of the fuel system up front, including those injectors. So I did turn her on last night and made sure she ran, and it went a bit like this. So at least I know she works. I've got my fire extinguisher. I didn't smell any fuel up front, so that's a good thing. So let's get her out on the road and see how she's doing. So right off the bat, steering wheel needs adjusting. That's all over the place, but seems right. We're having a little run down our private lane. And everything seems to be working quite nicely. I can definitely tell that exhaust leak is sorted, because she sounds much more, how would you say it, civilized, as opposed to just farting around all over the place. So we're getting to the end. We're going to turn around and then take her out on the open road. So out on the road, well, the hardtop is squeaking because I don't think I've secured it down properly, but this is a convertible. It's not for the hardtop, so we'll lose that and all will be good. But in terms of road manners, after we've done all that work on the front end, she feels really lovely. Now, it still feels like a boat because this car is basically a boat, but at least it's feeling like it should do and not like it's about to fall to bits. And as for our fuel injection system, let's drop a cog and, oh, yeah, she pulls just like she should, like a big old V8. You get lots of noise, lots of drama, lots of spinning, and not much progress, because that's got to go through our slush box. But oh well, she's back on the road, ready for the summer. It looks like it's about to rain, but I don't care because I've got my convertible back on the road. We've done our jobs, super pleased. Cool, that's it for this one. Oh, actually, one last thing. We won't do it in the episode, but because we've taken apart all the front end, it's off to get a wheel alignment in the next couple of days. I can feel the trackings out just a little bit, but get all that sorted, as you should do once it's all been done. And then we will be cruising around and enjoying the summertime. So, that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time on Vic's Projects.